the ability for Singularity to kind of pounce on top of them and find the win tonight is, again, MIBR looking for W's. They're looking for the extra points. Here are our bans, though. Again, we've done away with the auto ban, so you don't have an automatically banned map at the beginning, one from each team. We're left 2 maps at the end. Are we going to see Theme Park? No, it's going to be banned
last
again.
Ban. That's right. Kafe is a good map for both these teams, though. It's one that MIBR won in their one match on it first half, and we saw Elevate at the time, and now Singularity, draw with Liquid on it. So both teams pretty good at this map, so it should be, I think, a pretty good competition between the two, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, Kafe Dostoevsky, at least it kind of compensates for the amount of light that we have lacked over the past 2 maps. So
reflective snow.
Definitely so. So, hey, let's try it out. Kafe is still one of the best maps in the Pro League roster pool and in general in the map pool. It's a great map. Everybody pretty much loves to play it in competitive play, so I'm not too surprised that we get to see it, and we're going to get to see so much more of it in the future. But that's for our map. What do you guys think at home? Remember, you can vote on these polls and head-to-heads on Twitter. So go on our socials at ESL Rainbow 6. And for this one, well, it's very much MIBR's side.
Yeah, I think that's maybe a little disproportionate to some of the success that Singularity has had, especially against some strong teams. But that being said, yeah, I understand the favoritism towards MIBR, but we'll see how things shake out here. Obviously, there are some new things that could factor in. I think Wamai, for example, could be pretty strong in quite a few locations on this map. So I think that will definitely be a big factor. For example, you've got people trying to play the pixel spot in Christmas, trying to play, near the white hallway bathroom area. That's definitely a spot where you could really benefit from having some Wamais perhaps tucked behind the couch, things like that, to be able to draw away from there to make it really difficult to clear someone out of position. Same with Heaven as well. On the opposite side of the bar, you can have some even possibly hidden behind that bar to make it very difficult to get nades over there as well on top of the Jaeger. So a kitchen also is one that gets pretty heavily naded. So all 3 of the main bomb sites, I could see heavily benefiting depending on how you're trying to play those. So things might shape up a little bit differently than they had in the past on this map.
Yeah, we're just waiting for all the players, by the way, to head into our lobby, and then we'll get started ASAP. But yeah, you talked about Wamai and integrating him into strategy. And I have to say, still, the Mozzie Mute combo on this map is just, I think on pretty much every single map is going to be so strong. Space Station has really hammered the nail over Invitational at how you should be playing the ops and how really you should be combining them together. And Kafe Dostoevsky is definitely a map that the duo works very well on, because a lot of times you're funneled into hallways. There's small doors that you need to go through unless you're chucking your drones from the other side of the map. And even then, the vertical leap on the Pest is probably going to catch them midair. So you're going to have to deal with that. Maybe IQ is an operator to keep in mind for it, but more soft destruction and more vertical plays, but from below, if you're playing inside a bar, is something I'd expect. This has been happening a lot nowadays in reading, where a buck would come in and start working his way up into the bar through white later on. But actually, a lot of teams have kind of forgone bar, and they're mostly focusing on reading and dining. And I mean, mining, dining, reading, those 2 sites are still pretty viable. And maybe just rotating between the 2 in kitchen is the strategy nowadays.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of different ways to play it. I mean, if you're going to be doing mining or dining, you're generally going to be really trying to control that top floor either way. So it's like, yeah, is bar going to be a site, or is it just going to be a place where they're just going to be trying to burn as much time as possible and maybe even fight upwards after, like for reading defenses? So it's definitely like, it's almost people leveraging the experience they have on defending bar to defend the sites below bar. Mining dining is definitely not played as much. That's more of like an SSG kind of site. It is played occasionally, but like you said, the dining is the overlap between those 2 with reading dining and mining dining. So it is, it's all about defending the dining, which is funny because that's the site that's planted in the least a lot of the times. But it is definitely doable. There are ways to approach it, especially with white stairs being right there, if you can get a hole in that wall, for example. But either way, it is definitely something that we'll see if bar continues to be a thing or not, because like you said, the buck underneath can really kind of clear out the heaven side in terms of pressuring them to not be able to just sit behind a wall. Operator bans definitely factor in as well. For example, Capitao being allowed to be played in this is pretty strong. But now that you've got Wamai, it actually kind of negates some of that to an extent. Although, to be fair, you only can catch one arrow per disc. So in order to catch all of Capitao's discs alone, Capitao's bolts alone, you need 4 discs. So it's not necessarily like the strongest counter on Earth, but it's definitely something that can make it difficult for them if they rely on that for plants or clearing spots. But
Devin, this is something more of a question to you as well, specifically. You know, when now you have Wamai and Jaeger on this map, why don't you just play Wamai, Jaeger, Goyo, Mute, Mozzie?
Yeah, I mean, that's the new duos, right? We talk about Mute Mozzie all the time, but Wamai Jaeger is the new duo holding hands and skipping around town because they just work so well synergistically together. And I like that the way we design these sort of like semi-alternate, well, not we, but, you know, Ubisoft designs these semi-alternate operators that also work very well in tandem because they have overlapping but different skill sets. I think it definitely really plays into that. And I think, like you said, Goyo plus those other ones provides all the time denial, all the shield denial, all the just denial you need to make sure that they're just burning time and burning constant bits of utility. But that you still need to be able to win your gunfights on top of that. But if you can, on top of all that other utility, that lineup, yeah, that you just said is absolutely so strong on this map.
I mean, what do you do against it? You have the Mute Mozzie combination, and you have everything that deals with even Capitao crossbow bolts. And how do you deal with Goyo shields now? Because they're already immensely annoying. Exactly.
That's what you have to do. You have to be able to go below or above, use things like Buck, and even things like the impact lifelines to hit from below, for example, so that they possibly can't be ADS'd. So
you
like,
say that.
Go below that. Well, I mean, let's say you go below a Goyo shield, right? Mm-hmm. If it's on a soft floor, and the floor isn't open yet, you can't catch that with an ADS or OMI disc that's on that same floor because you just hit it from below, assuming you ping that correctly and just hit it with like an impact or hit it with the Ash Charge. There's plenty of ways to take care of that, but that requires a lot of coordination. And I assume that's what you meant by you say that, but is yes, yeah. It is difficult to pull off.
Exactly, because this is why I was focusing so much on reading, dining, and mining. Because a lot of times nowadays we're seeing those Goyo shields that are being set up in bar, in the heaven area. You know, this is a location that's just so difficult to pull players out of because you can put the Goyo shields in a way to kind of not overlap but be on opposite angles and still be able to play by the hatch, drop into laundry. And imagine now there's not only ADSs but also OMI discs that you can use. It is so immensely difficult to deal with anything like that. I can really only imagine how you're going to be able to chuck grenades into it, or you're not going to be able to play it from below, that's for sure. So the whole idea of, yeah, you can use Buck or Zofia for it, just flies out the window because you're pushing into reading. So this is, I think, the major difficulty for a lot of teams going into it, and this is what I expect a lot of teams to abuse until someone in the attack is able to find a viable way to deal with this.
And that's the big difference between mining dining and reading dining, really, is the destructible floor on mining, but not on reading side. Whereas dining, yeah, has it either way, but the fact that you can't destroy the floor on reading means you can't just play double vertical up, like open a hole in reading floor and then shoot that up towards the bar side, for example. So yeah, it is a better site because you can't get around it that easily. Like you said, the fact that you can control above it and in the middle is definitely going to make very difficult for you to play that vertically. So absolutely. Not to mention, this is also a map that you're very likely to have to bring one stair control operator, whether that be via air jabs or tracks. Because of the 3 sets of stairs, white, red, and brown, you really need something that could stop rotates on the stairs. And so that's something that's going to take away from your utility that would be used to clear things like shields. We also see Thatcher bans a lot as well, and it makes it difficult for you to be able to clear out pests and mute jammers and things like that all in one go. So yeah, it's going to be really tricky, I think, for attackers on this map. This is definitely something where this map, in the current setup with defensive operators, I think is quite a bit defensive favored.
Yeah, and right now we're just waiting for our final player to come in. I know usually it's, you know, we're not actually getting into game because Devin is too busy to think about clicking to start the actual round, but right now it's...
You know, I never got to do that. It was always Panky. I just had to watch him Panky start it.
So we're going to keep blaming it on Panky is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. He's still holding that Xbox controller far, far away in the UK, waiting to start the round.
Pretty much. So, yeah, we're just going to wait until that 5th player, but I'm quite excited to see Kafe Dostoevsky again. Wamai is going to add a lot to it, but on the attack, this is a map that Gridlock shines quite well on it. I know a lot of teams are bringing Nomad, but I think on Kafe, most of the time, it's safer to just bring the Gridlock and be happy with the amount of utility that she brings, because I don't think there's any ways around it, and you might agree with me on this. Gridlock is definitely one of the most underrated operators in the game, like bar none. We know.
Well, this was one of the
Smokes,
strongest maps we saw that Gridlock being brought on, which was primarily from Eclipse at first. The problem is, I feel like the effectiveness of the tracks, it's similar to the Lion sort of thing, where Lion scared people so much that even after the nerf, people were afraid of him. But then people like realized, oh wait, he's not that scary. I think it's the same thing with the tracks. I think teams are realizing now that if you have a roamer who's in a confident position, a lot of times they can clear the tracks and then just wait a while before they use that rotation, or even rotate through it. We've seen so many times now defenders are getting so aggressive and so confident that they're often just clearing those tracks and going through anyways. So it's not actually, especially if you're at a man disadvantage on attack and don't have the coverage to be anywhere near those tracks, they're starting to become a lot less effective. And you combine that with the fact that goo mines are now less effective. It's definitely a lot more freedom of movement for players. It's going to be tricky. I think there's not as much you can do to slow them down. While the tracks are still one of your best bets, I think they're losing effectiveness overall, and you're really just going to have to watch flanks yourself, I think, a lot of the time now.
So we're still waiting. Any other stuff you'd like to add, Devin, in the meantime? I'm sure something's happened.
Yeah, I think we're actually just going to take a quick break, give them a chance to get in, just to make sure, there's new players on the team. Maybe they're having trouble.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to take a quick break, and hopefully by the time we're back, we have our 5th player in, or our 10th player in, and then we'll be ready to have back into game. We'll see you in just a couple minutes, hopefully. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to get back into this lobby and start up our game with MIBR, game number 3 for this evening. Waiting for a 5th player to come in, and if not, we'll have to substitute with a coach. Hopefully, all is well. In the meantime, let's check the lobby, how it's going.
Yeah, still having trouble. One player of MIBR struggling to get in, so hopefully we don't have to have a coach substitute, as fun as that always is. But at the same time, hey, at least the coach should know the strats, or at least in general how their players work, to be able to play that.
Look, man, if Shas were to come back and play, the world would just not be ready for that level of ownage.
Yeah, that's it's for the best. He needs his other players to be able to shine. But yeah, not looking great so far. But hey, coach playing's better than a forfeit, right? So we'll see what MIBR is able to do. At least their newer member, Cameraman, is able to get in okay. So just hopefully they hadn't just done some recent upgrades to their PC or something like that causing problems. But hey, tech issues happen, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes their game...
Yeah, we'll see. Just waiting.
We should be set to go.
A few more seconds, hopefully. There we go. So
there we go.
We'll see here. We got the game going. All right.
All right, let's get in.
So, where will they start first? Will we see bar? Who knows? But we will get the bands going. See what we end up with. Thatcher to start with. Not a surprise. Definitely going to make Mozzie and Wamai all stronger. And Maverick, all right. Funny that because we've barely even seen him played, but I can understand that because he is something that would help without that Thatcher. So it's really going to be tricky to get those walls open now. So that should be fun.
All right. Mira out, and what's the last operators? Kafe, Echo or Maestro? Echo. There you go. Kind of predictable.
Yeah, not too crazy. I would like to see Maverick played a little bit more now that he's got nades. It could be pretty useful because now he can open up those tiny little holes for himself at the top of a wall and then throw grenades over. And that could be a way to clear out utility as well. Could possibly even use that to try and clear out the electro claws up at the top if he cooks them well. So it's pretty useful if you bring him. Obviously, it wasn't terribly useful on console, so we didn't see him in the last 2 maps. But now we're not going to see him here either because he's banned. And we are going to start on bar with that Wamayan play.
Okay, so right now I think the streams are having a few issues, but we should be back in just a few minutes with our usual delay. If you're just watching from from the past, don't worry, not much has changed since then. So we're in, and Singularity on the attack. MIBR prepping, and they're not bringing Goyo for this one. They're actually going to be playing upstairs in bar. Standard reinforcements so far just to block some line of sight from Cigar and from Skylight. A bulletproof camera though from Novi's. I like this. It's very difficult to arc Sophia charges all the way from Cigar into the midi bar / cocktail area.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, you're not really likely to be able to take care of that camera anytime soon. It would be helpful to have a Maestro instead, just because, well, his gun's really good. But hey, if you could get the extra camera, might as well take advantage of it. And they still could potentially get shields from the Wamai, and then the castle being a bit stronger now is definitely good because he has that super shorty to be able to open up those rotates as needed. They have identified that that window is open for a peek, and well, there's bullets sitting here watching it.
He's looking for someone. And he's just going to keep pre-firing anyways. He knows there's someone on the opposite end of it, but fall back, delaying some time off the Christmas market. The reason why this IQ is just checking, Hunter that is because, well, bits of the window have been removed because you see the couple pixels just below it.
Well, we'll see how quickly they get down here. The mute jammer's definitely going to make things harder, but at least it's not combined with the Mozzie, so they're not going to lose any of those drones getting captured or anything. It's just dealing with those mute jammers. Obviously, they can't Thatcher down, so those mute jammers that are stopping them from getting in the Cigar door are pretty strong, not to mention the castle barricade right there as well. So they've just got to take control of the piano side of things as quick as they can, but they're obviously going to make that pretty difficult here with those castle barricades. And I imagine possibly playing in the pixel spot as well. I like this, though, trying to use the top of the reinforced wall as an angle towards piano, and then a pinch here from KDS. on the side here. Trying to at least go for some plays. You hear the Wamai discs pulling in some of those.
Yeah, nothing hit. Nothing hit. There's still one impact left. And you're going to try and... Oh, yeah, this bug again. Yeah, we've seen this before where someone throws a drone in and they're moving about. It was just basically bait, but you're still on that drone POV. Yeah, there you go. Burning those Wamai charges. One more flash, two more flashes thrown in as Wamai will be set to possibly counter the Zofia here. You see, this is the Wamai combination with the Jaeger. Pre-firing, but a bit too quick there. Bullet is going to have to fall back for now, but this is burning so much time off Singularity.
Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, 2 minutes burned and not really getting a whole lot of control of the top floor as quickly as you'd like. Definitely can cost you quite a bit in terms of time that you need later on, but at least Rise getting one pick. Cameraman also at low health, and all they've traded for it is a little bit of HP on souls. So overall, this is actually looking pretty good for this attack. But there's another kill from MIBR onto Lenda, and that's going to hurt quite a bit here, losing the buck again. Oh, wow, that almost didn't work from Cameraman. He was a little slow there, but he did have backup as well from the mute.
Yeah, good kill there from Cameraman, and yeah, the backup was very important in securing the kill. At least now you know your flank is not open anymore, and that's the ton of comfort that MIBR now have. They're sitting pretty inside of the freezer, and you see the bouncing up and down of control. That's so frustrating to deal with. The Doc will take a lot of damage, but he's still alive, and Cameraman will confirm the kill. Souls will get one. MIBR swiftly finding the angle with Bullet here. I have to say, Bullet was instrumental in delaying the attackers.
Yeah, definitely a big play there in terms of his ability to do so. Just their delays in trying to get control of the top floor. That's the big struggle, right? You have to get the top floor, of course, to be able to attack bar. And the longer you can delay piano, the more effective that defense is going to be, because attacking bar itself is difficult and it requires a lot of setup and utility. If you can burn most of that utility through things like the Wami discs in inside piano, that's a huge help in making sure that can happen. And then they're stopping their ability to go from below as well. We were talking about that, in the pre-match about trying to go below. It wasn't with the buck necessarily, it was with the IQ, but still, their ability to stop that down and reading as well just made it pretty much impossible for them to seem to get a strong foothold on the map. Of course, they have to change bomb sites now, and interestingly enough, despite all our talk about reading being the preferred site, they're actually going to go mining dining and still bringing that castle, but this time with the Goyo Mute Mozzie combo and no Wamai.
No, it definitely will be a bit less of a whammy to deal with. M-King bringing in the Goyo. I mean, this is the site where I expected to see Wamai being combined with the Jaeger more than anything else. But it's mining dining, as you say. I still think it is not the best site, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. You can still directly walk into it from the window, but holding on to the top floor is the main part of the game here. And if we're able to do that, it doesn't really matter which set you're playing overall.
Well, they should be able to delay at least droning significantly with what they've got. And the castle barricades will definitely slow things down as well. They're not necessarily bringing a ton that can deal with those outside of the Zofia, and then some grenades on Lenda Buck. But I saw some interesting setup there. They had, for example, a bulletproof camera in freezer in a kind of a weird location to be able to see through an opened up wall into the Christmas area. So that'll be interesting to see if that factors into their intel in terms of how they play. They are going to be able to spot quite a bit of utility here with the scanner. Probably spot some of those pests to be able to know whether or not it's safe to throw drones in. And that's the big thing, is knowing whether or not you can throw them in windows. Definitely helps to have the ability to see those in preparation for that, because once you've thrown it, it's in the air, there's not much you can do to dodge the pest.
Well, if you're watching, and yeah, the drone's going to be lost and destroyed in the end. Goyo shields are going to be spotted one side of the freezer, and they're all meant to delay and give information to the players behind them. There you see one of them being used by Cyber, and that's an interesting bulletproof camera. You see that the side of the wall from freezer into Christmas is open, is done on purpose, and yet again, it's difficult to arc Zofia impacts into it to destroy it. So very smart understanding of the game and the mechanics from MIBR. I have to say that's the play, but it's the Buck trying to move in. He wins the gunfight. That's Rise, though, actually on the Nomad. Flank around. Nitro Cell is going to sail. Might have caught... No, it caught the chandelier. Oh, and the kill from Lenda. Oh, so difficult for MIBR to try to come back into this. Souls will get that diffuser down, and they're lining up again. Lenda's going to find one more laying down on the floor inside a train. Cyber and Novi's last 2 alive versus the 5. All you got to do is just sit outside of that window, and it's near impossible to bring it back. One taken down with one player down on the floor, that's Hunter, but it will not matter whatsoever. Multiple angles to watch for the Jaegers. You're pre-firing around every corner, and he's going to walk on the same site as before. Yes, he is, and he's close to dying. You're trying to put 3 bodies into that room here in dining. It's not going to matter. This, though, is the reason why, for the flawless round, this site is not so great. This is why you've been seeing way less of mining.
Yeah, some of it's just proximity to the red stairs and the fact that they're going to get red stairs control relatively early, and then they leveraged that very quickly with the holes Buck opened, and just there was so little ability to push back against that push into mining. You saw the control they got quickly. The failed C4 definitely didn't help as well because of that chandelier catching it. I mean, it was a nice C4 throw. Had the chandelier not been there, I think that probably would have landed and might have been able to get at least 1 kill, but that's the problem, is they don't have a good way to set up retake on that site because there's limited angles into it, and the red stairs is going to be controlled by the attackers, so you're not going to be able to get that flank going. It's pretty much down to whoever's left in dining and train and that red hallway. But because of that, you really need a lot of you almost need to open up a ton of the walls to be able to fight into it, and that can work against you as well. So again, like you said, that's part of the reason this site is a little bit less favored at the moment. It's just the difficulty holding that mining side of it. Obviously dining's part of the reading side, which oddly enough they have not gone to yet. They're going to go to kitchen instead, which is weird because reading is such a strong site overall. But we'll see what they'll pull off here on kitchen. So far, though, MIBR with a good defense in the first round, an okay one in the second round, but we are seeing Singularity start to step things up. They very likely will get control of mining quickly again this round, which will offer them the opportunity to fight vertically. Thank you, Marcio, for showing that. So that floor there will definitely be important. That mute jammer that M King just put down, likely to be taken out fairly quickly just because of the control from above and the ability to open up the floor with Buck very easily. And you can do that from 2 floors above. We've seen that done in Latin America, where Nesk, for example, would do that, open up the floor from just where the red stairs wall is inside Christmas, at that little mini bar area, and then all the way down into kitchen to be able to take out electric claws, mute jammers, bend batteries on that wall, which is especially important without the Thatcher and without Maverick here. So they really need to do that, and that's what they're banking on. Cyber is trying to take advantage of his mute jammer, or not mute jammer, but his vigil jammer on the middle floor. But there's a nice kill to start things out with, and Navi's the first to get lost on defense. But hey, they managed to take out the Zofia in the meantime. Okay trade, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty much an equal trade. Even if Novi's had a Nitro Cell, the Zofia being lost here when you have to deal with these castle, well no castle barricades here, but when you have to deal with just so many players that are going to be entrenched, stunning them. Oh, there you go. Yet more drones being lost. So in general, this is working still fine for MIBR, and so far you're seeing it. There's 5 drones that are lost, only 3 left for Singularity. At least I don't know if KDS was able to deploy any, as we cannot see his deployed drones anymore. Wish that would be updated. But yeah, you're checking around. There's a Gizmot being spotted. You can trigger it whenever you'd like. There you go. That's a trigger fallback. Way easier than trying to go for the snipe. And now some pressure from Garage coming out. Unfortunately, having lost 1 player, it's very difficult to just walk in, and you need to drone. You don't have the info, and Cyber's ready inside of reading.
Make a good use of the CRC.
There you go. Easy kill for 1, and close to the second. Lenda takes damage, but that's 1 eliminated. A bullet trying to fight around a corner as he's actually going to find the head of Rise. A great shot there, and the special magazine is doing work as Souls will take a bit more damage. Now, this Ella can just hold down the back section, the VIP, so well. And even if MIBR opted for the double reinforced freezer, they can still chuck Nitro Cells whenever they'd like.
It was odd to see Souls sitting there on that doorway and actually unprepared for someone to come down those white stairs. I mean, what's the point of sitting there holding that if you're not actually going to be on top of it? It could have been an easy kill, and Bolt getting away with that kill and escape like that, that's really hurting them. And because now they're down to just the Buck and a Thermite. Obviously, the Buck's still useful, but the Thermite's not going to be in a position to do a whole lot against these remaining defenders, especially with how spread out they are.
I don't think there's any grenades left at all, but hey, there's one dropped, and it's a 1-to-1 trade. The Thermite is the last alive and will win the gunfight. So now you're stepping into a goo mine, a bit of damage done. Of course, we don't have that initial ticker anymore. Soul's is going to have to walk on in. M-King doesn't have a nitro cell to play with. You don't have to peek this. You don't have to peek this. You do not have to peek this. He's still peeking it. And the Thermite's around the corner trying to fight it. Somehow, MIBR will still retain the round. But good God, man, you don't have to peek it.
That was so close to a throw at that point. You really just needed to back off and just play the shotgun. Like, put yourself in a tight spot and play the shotgun. He has no utility to clear you out. Not much he can do. But overall, that was a close one. MIBR, though, definitely pulling off, taking advantage of a lot of oversights. But at the end of the day, though, Souls came back pretty strong. I got to say, I was surprised to see him get those 2 picks. He really shouldn't have won those fights. But the fact that he did, despite the predictability of where he was coming from, almost made it happen there, especially with the almost throw there from the mute. But at the end of the day, MIBR pick up the round. They're able to take it to 2-1 here. Back to bar we go, which they did win previously, so now they've won bar and kitchen. So far, they have yet to play reading, which I imagine they might do if it comes up again instead of mining dining. We'll see. That's assuming they win this round. If they win this round, then I imagine we might see that next. They will go with a similar setup to what they did previously on bar. Castle barricades being a big factor again, of course. Probably likely to see the bulletproof camera as well to watch across the bar. And all they've got to do is similar to what they did last time, just burn a ton of time, make sure that they can't get in very aggressively, and you should be good. Some of that did come down to good my disc use to make sure that they couldn't really expend the right utility inside. I like that the Bolt was able to rotate through that hole too, rather than just being a line of sight hole. They shot it up just high enough for him to be able to vault through it. So that's kind of nice. You see them using that pretty frequently already, just to be able to go in and out. So that's the thing about having Castle with a super shorty now, is he can do stuff like that. You can Castle barricade that doorway and then open up a rotation that you could vault through. And we see that often. That's the beautiful thing about Castle is everyone thinks of him for being controlling movement, but really more often than not, he's about controlling lines of sight and angles.
Exactly. And now that not only can you reinforce and block lines of sight, but you can also open many of them with the super shorty. People really underestimate the effect of that super shorty, and I guess we have a bit of a bug here.
Uh-oh.
There's another drone bug. And it's over.
I thought we were just going to have to cast the rest of the match based off the icon movement.
Yeah, I can cast with extra audio effects on the top, but I don't know about visual effects. That's beyond me, even as an optometrist.
Well, see the prep from Cyber here getting ready for a jump out if he gets the opportunity, because he's going to start to get pressured on red stairs pretty soon. Or at least he has coverage from cameraman with the mute drone or mute jammer in the typical spot here inside the humidor. I like that angle with the shotgun as well. He's waiting for someone to drop blindly. Bullet, though, in the meantime, taking out Hunter. That's a lot less intel that they're going to have on the gadgets, which means those my discs in the future will be sitting a lot safer. That's overall a great initial pick for them. Probably the only one better might be either the Nomad or the Buck.
Yeah, and I love the way that, the Buck is reacting, but it's a bit too slow. Also, the reinforcements from MIBR are outside in for Christmas, which means that you can't nade over top of the reinforcement easily at all. Like that grenade is gonna keep on bouncing around.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it has to do with the red lip on the top of it.
Basically, I don't know if it's like a hitbox issue or something, but it's there and it works fine. And like finally, people are starting to recognize it. 5 drones have been lost so far, with only 3 left for Singularity. 1 more disc will fly out, and look at that potential for the disc. The Thermite staying alive by just a hair, and a free kill for KDS on the Cyber to make it a 4-4.
That's the problem with that skylight, man. You start to forget it's there if no one's shooting through it or pressuring it, and then situations like that happen.
So there's one shot from Bullet. He's winning it all, but no, they're lining up. It's a double kill though. The castle missing the initial shot, slow on HP, Singularity all 3 players, but KDS is gonna flick around and find the last shot through the bar, through freezer. Man, this is so unfortunate. If you're MIBR, it was all theirs and all off of the Wamai, I have to say.
That was a bit of a slow and steady push for them. They were just finding free angles, taking advantage of everyone they could. I mean, it seemed like Bullet had a really good position in terms of being able to play very aggressively against the window, using his discs to be able to catch any kind of utility that's thrown to try and stop him. I liked the crossfire that he had and the backup that he had from the mute. It is surprising that didn't work, but like you said, they lined up a bit, gave a couple of kills. Well, my Bullet himself almost actually got a team kill, I think, trying to stop that play on the window. But at the end of the day, I think just all the intel collected worked out for Singularity. They were able to take advantage of it to pressure very quickly and take advantage of everyone they could catch off guard. And then, well, Castle was unfortunately not in a great position to do much at the end of the day, but you got to really credit some of that due to just like catching Cyber in the wrong position at the wrong time from the skylight, things like that. And then the lining up of the players really just was not great, but I feel like MIBR could pull it off this round. It was just some unfortunate circumstances that last round, that mistakes they likely won't make a second time. But then again, Singularity also getting used to this defense, starting to figure out some ways to get around it, learning how it's being played, and if much doesn't change from MIBR, I think Singularity at least figured out some things they could do against this.
5 seconds to go.
So the question now, what do MIBR do to adapt to it? Because it was all their mistakes, if you ask me. They're the ones that really messed it up in the last round.
Yeah,
that's how they ended up losing it.
Well, again, it's going to be somewhat predictable here. Singularity know how they need to do this for the most part, but a lot of it just comes down to catching the players at the wrong time on MIBR, getting them out of position or having the right utility to be able to force them out of that position. But it's easier said than done, especially when Bullet can pull so much of that utility away. But that depends on his recharge times. The thing is, if they dump the utility, like a little bit of utility to burn those discs early, he only recharges them at a slow rate, similar to Legion's goo mines. So he's not, like, the longer you take to try and pull him out of that position, the stronger he gets in terms of burning utility. So you actually need to be somewhat fast in how you do it to make sure he can't continue to do that over time. So just getting him out of position or killing him early, or even just managing to burn his discs and use the utility for something, very important. But Rise dropping off is not going to help things here for them. I imagine we're going to have a rehost very likely after this round.
Let's hope he reconnects and it's not something super complicated. But yeah, this round might be pretty much forfeit. It's already halfway through the round, so there's no way to rehost it anymore. And yeah, 3v5, full HP for MIBR. Singularity are definitely going to be feeling this one.
I gotta say though, I feel like Bullets, when I play, has felt pretty convincing though, as far as someone who seems to have practiced the operator. So, I mean, if he can keep that up, he's doing pretty well for his team, getting at least one kill or a lot of utility burned each round he's playing it. So, if he can keep that up and land these shots, I mean, it's going to be very difficult. But they did manage to clear out a shield. He's not as safe in that corner anymore. They're figuring this out. The pressure just needs to keep coming, and the timing needs to be right. And if they can get these grenades off, for example, it looks like the player backed off, unfortunately for them. They can make this happen here.
There's some ADSs being burned, and the grenade, unfortunately, it will just be caught by an ADS. A second one sells out, and it will down cameraman. Novi's is low on HP as well, but he's going to find a kill on Hunter, dropping down and staying alive. 2 players left, and there's the reverse repel being countered. Cameraman doubling up here with his teammates. Shotgun around the corner. The Buck is going to get hit right in the back, and they're all going to swarm into him on red stairs. Unfortunate, but I assume we're going to have a rehost here. Yeah.
Good back and forth, though, coming out from both teams, really. Like, the constant adjustments and attempts to try and counter each other. You had MIBR with a great defensive bar. It got countered after that, and then they countered it back. It's good back and forth, but I think overall the defense setup from MIBR is really good. It's just down to, as you said, them making some mistakes and getting caught off guard for those. Once they don't make those mistakes, you saw how solid that could be. I mean, I like the attempts coming out from Singularity. They're definitely trying to poke holes in it, but overall, I think we might see that defense a bit more often in the future from the teams, just because it looks fairly strong. It's really just about forcing them to burn utility to get even the slightest bit of map control and positioning. I mean, maybe teams are just going to have to start playing for middle floor control for that attack, start to go below and try and buck from below, things like that, rather than focusing exclusively on red stairs or trying to get in through the windows, because you see the problems with trying to do that. So maybe they just need to get that bottom up control and use that to be able to get in, but that's going to take time to do so. But either way, good for MIBR so far. Obviously, they can't play bar every single round.
Yeah.
So I imagine they're likely to go to reading now, but they could go down to kitchen, or if they really wanted to try mining dining again, they could.
Should definitely go for reading, in my opinion. I mean, in my opinion, reading is still the best site in Kafe right now.
Especially if you fed bar that well.
Yeah, bar is a 50-50, and yeah, you're defending it so well. Even if you're winning one and losing another round on it, that's fine. They now played 3 rounds on it, 2 of them that they won, 1 of them lost. That's pretty darn good if you ask me. Now go to reading. It should be the safe site to go to, especially if you're so good at playing on that top floor and bar. Then just setting up inside a cocktail should be super simple to do. You don't have to deal with too many people coming in from heaven. That's not really a strategy that happens that often. We saw it once trialed by FaZe with an Amaru, but that was it. Play it there, bring a Goyo, blink some shields, and you're gonna have a fun old time and close to a free round there. So in my opinion, that should be the strategy.
Yeah, and we'll see how they play it out. Obviously, this is their last defensive round, so they have quite a few choices in how they want to play it. They have 3 other sites they could play because they played bar a couple times in a row. They can go, wherever they want to at this point. So it's just a question where they're feeling confident. And like you said, reading really should be the choice here, especially with the strong defense. Maybe they were thinking mining dining because they had such a strong defense of Piano Christmas that they thought, okay, well, we can hold above, so we'll be fine. But the weakness seemed to be just pushing from the red stairs side into mining. So I don't know if they'll go with that again, because obviously if you go for the reading side, you don't have to worry about that. You just have to worry about pillars in the door to the outside from reading. But I imagine they'll control that well and then just be able to control the bar side. We actually haven't even seen a ton of fights over the bar because so much of the fights were just over the Christmas side of things. So
yeah, that's true. There was like one attempt to push up white stairs, and that was pretty much it. That got stunted like really fast. So yeah, it seems like people, at least from MIBR side, are definitely keeping track of what's going on around the map. There was just that one round on mining that was just a complete disaster.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see that repeated. But they could go kitchen again. They had an okay kitchen defense. They did manage to win it, although that was very close. That really probably shouldn't have been as close, and almost, like, as we were joking, almost got thrown by the mute trying to play a little aggressive. But at the end of the day, I think they could definitely pull off a kitchen potentially as well if they wanted to go that route, if they just are not feeling confident in reading. Let's keep in mind, too, of course, these teams all play each other and scrim each other very often. They all know each other very well. So sometimes they may not be going to a site because they just know the other team's good on attacking it. Or maybe the local meta is that it's not working as well as a site, so they change things up because of that local sort of Latin America meta we have. So there's a lot of factors that go into it besides just the site itself and the current operators available.
Yeah, it really depends, I guess. I just hope that we can get through this game today so far.
Right. Well, at least all of MIBR got in. We're just waiting for one on Singularity now.
Yeah. Well, casting at 2 a.m. is always super fun, and actually this is like the first time I'm casting from home at 2 a.m. in ages. Usually it's always the studio, and at least I can reach around and grab your hand, Devin, but here it's a bit difficult.
Yeah, well, soon enough, right? Well, we'll see what the future holds in that regard, but you should be used to at least casting at 2 a.m. over there at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how often I'll be able to cast North America in this way, so let's just see how this goes. We're trying our best, of course. Thanks again to ESL and Ubisoft helping us out, making sure that we can bring you PL as best as we can, and I hope that our equipment is working better than last night, because it was our first trial. We had some issues, but we spent a bit of time trying to fix them up, so hopefully for me, maybe my audio is a bit better, your audio on your side, Devin, might be a bit better. Camera is looking pretty decent in comparison, so
I mean, I hope the mic sounded a little bit better today. I tried to make some improvements to it, but obviously it sounds fine on my end, so it's hopefully it's okay.
I hope so. It seems like the further we are apart, the more jokes I'm able to deny you.
It's a hard knock life.
Yeah, honestly, it's like the moment I say anything I say, I just get a text from Devin like, yo, I was gonna say something like that. You ruined it, honestly.
Just wait on this one player on Singularity. Hopefully he doesn't have any kind of problems getting back in. But yeah, I mean, it was the player who crashed out, Rise. So it's possible that I think I'm seeing even that he might have actually lost electricity, as I don't think they're in a team house. So that could be problematic. Partway through a match as well that was really back and forth. That would be terrible timing, really. I believe he's coming back, though, we're hearing, so it might just take a second. Definitely a long match, though. It's certainly been a long day. We haven't really had any really one-sided matches today.
Nope.
The way things are going, I don't think we're likely to, but it's certainly going to go the distance in terms of time from all these rehosts and delays getting players in.
I mean, I have to say, the first 2 games that we have today, you know, there's no spoiler in this one, but honestly, they have been really, really good games. Now on the third one, we're trying to get into the mood of it, but obviously when you're delaying and trying to, you know, get people into play, it breaks everybody's momentum, and I wonder how the players are going to try to adapt to that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we also only have one round left before side switch as well, and that tends to change up momentum as well. So it's going to be down to who can kind of throw their all into this last round before they have to switch sides and switch what they do in their round. Could even just see an aggressive attack because they're like, you know what, let's get this round over with. Sometimes you kind of get that antsiness after your momentum stalled out so many times. Because you know they probably warmed up before they started the match, and then it got stalled out by one player not being able to get in. And then now the back and forth, and they got the one round left before the side switch. They're going to want to just, I would imagine, drone aggressively and then try and play aggressively into the site and try and take gunfights. That's what I would imagine happening, but who knows? Maybe it'll be the exact opposite. Maybe it'll be the slowest round we've ever seen.
Definitely so. Well, we're still trying to get our last player in. So normally should be joining. So if anything's crash, you go for restart and just get ready for it. Again, it's not a LATAM play day without having some sort of odd things happening.
Of course. I like to keep it interesting for you. It just gives you more time to talk about your personal life.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much happening right now. Kix just had to leave Poland really quick, so I have his PlayStation with me here at home.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, that feeling of thinking like, oh, I want to play so many games, and then you think like, oh, but the games I want to play, I'm not really feeling them so much now. I had this elaborate plan of sitting back and playing the original Ratchet and Clank trilogy, and I mean,
well, you know, they do have Rainbow Six on PlayStation.
Dude, okay, nothing against anyone, but I have to say this: when I was in Canada, I stayed over at my cousin's place in Montreal, and you know, we were playing all sorts of games on my cousin's Xbox, and let's just say, people that play shooters on consoles are actual gods.
Yeah, they must have like. I feel like we talk about like the human advantage over like other animals is the opposable thumbs. I feel like people who can play with dual thumbsticks like that have some other kind of evolved opposable thumb.
Yeah, basically.
And I've never had, I guess.
It's so difficult to play it. I tried to play like even a T-Hunt. I couldn't get past the first 3 terrorists. So it's close to what it is for me on PC.
Yeah, like to cast the PlayStation majors when I did that, I had to have one of the semi-pro players carry me to level 5 just so I could join a custom.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Oh my god.
Definitely not my forte.
Didn't you need clearance level 20 for it?
I think you needed level 5 to be able to create a custom. Yeah. So it wasn't ranked or anything, so you didn't need to be level 20. But it is kind of weird that there's like a gate on joining customs. Which is weird. But hey, what can you do? Hey, I still have an N64 here with Rainbow Six, the original, on it.
Ooh. I've been thinking of like buying also the original like Rainbow Six book from Tom Clancy.
I have the strategy guide. Ooh. The original Rainbow Six.
You know, I have some books that I'm trying to read through. There's like I've read like 20% of Anna Karenina, so it's a huge book, like Russian author. So there's that.
Weird flex.
There's a second book that I'm trying to read through, and it's Haruki Murakami. It's a Japanese writer, and it's so good. But man, sitting down and reading when you're looking around you and you're like, oh, I have all this space for video games is kind of difficult to say the least. And
playing RPG, they're 90% reading.
Yeah, basically. I mean, the last time I actually played like a super hardcore RPG was with Fabian. We played Divinity Original Sin 2. That was so much fun. It's so good.
Fabian.
Yeah, I guess
Lost to time itself.
I still have to say though, every week or two I boot into Assassin's Creed Origin and play it because I still think that it is one of the best games in the series.
Wasn't that one becoming like available to be free to play, or was that Odyssey?
I don't know. Odyssey is the latest
not free
one.
to play, but I mean like a free weekend kind of thing or something like that on Uplay.
I'm not sure, but they put what is it called? Child of Light. Child of Light's such a good game, honestly. And even you can play it in co-op. The mechanics that they use for co-op for it is super cool. I know this is turned into the Pro League or gaming podcast right now, but
unfortunately, it's looking like we might not be able to get Rise back. That week,
I don't know what we'd do.
Most unfortunate. So we're going to take a quick break, though, and see if we can find out whether or not we can resuscitate him from the dead or not. And we'll see you guys after that.
Yeah, see ya. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, we're going to put away the gaming podcast for a moment, but we're trying still to get into the game. One of the players has crashed out and we're waiting for admin decision to see what happens because, as you can tell, we're not back with the game, which means the player isn't back either.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's possible even for them to sub out a player mid-match. Like, let's say they wanted the coach to play or something like that. Obviously, that's totally the admin's call and not ours, but that obviously is a difficult thing to do, and so it could depend on whether he's able to get back or not. If he's not able to get back, we could possibly see a forfeit, which would be a bummer in such a really close match like it's been so far, with total potential for either team to be able to win this right now, especially when it's like ironic that MIBR were the ones having a player with having trouble getting in, and now all of a sudden it's a player on Singularity side who can't get his way in. So that just shows how close of a match it is.
Honestly, it's so close that one player on each team is getting thrown out of the lobby somehow.
The lobby's trying to keep it even.
Basically. So we're just waiting. We're trying to give it time, but so far I have to say the Wamai and Bullet specifically have been so instrumental for MIBR. I don't think they would be able to grab as many rounds as they have without that sort of play.
I think it does take some skill to play Wamai in terms of, first off, you got to be able to use the AUG, which normally you're not using on any of the other operators. And secondly, you need to know where to put those discs. You need to know where people are going to be using the throwables of different kinds or shootables, depending on the operator, and where you can put the disc that it's not going to be seen or shot. So it needs to have line of sight with it. And it's a little bit different skill than dealing with someone like Jaeger, which, Bullet's played in the past, where you're setting those up ahead of time. You're really just trying to stash them in terms of protecting from the most likely angles. Well, you have to be a little more dynamic. You're going to be charging those up over time. You're going to have to put them down over time, so you're not just going to be able to set them up uncontested during the prep phase. It's almost like people who were really good at Jaeger juggling and putting down ADSs late might be better at Wamai. So it's its own skill set that I think will build up over the course of the season as people are getting more used to using him. But the nice thing is he's absolutely getting played. Like, there's no question that Wamai is making an impact on Pro League, similar to Goyo, where he's definitely getting played.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the multi-layer operator lineup, right? It's like an onion that actually spits back at you. It's a llama onion, basically. I know we're getting very deep into this one, but hear me out. The Mozzie Mute, Jaeger, Wamai, and Goyo combination. 5 operators, they can really handle pretty much anything. You have every bit of utility you'd ever want. You have, shotguns if you want to make rotations. You got it all. But also, we talked about Castle and how great of an operator he was and how better he is just by giving him that super shorty. It's just now you're blocking some line of sights, and you're also opening up so many more, and he's so much more versatile than before.
And I think we'll definitely see more grenades as well, just because Maverick overall has played a bit more than Dokkaebi. So changing over from one operator to the other, I think will definitely mean you will see more grenades in play. And that's something they'll have to deal with. And I think as teams get more used to bringing Wamai and it becoming more of a normal thing, I do hope that then reduces the Capitao bans so that they could target a different operator that they then have to deal with. Just because you're able to deal with those firebolts, generally there's certain positions you're going to be expecting those firebolts or smoke bolts, and you can kind of counter those. The only downside, like I said, is that you only get 1 arrow per Wamai disc, and you're going to recharge those over time up to a certain cap. So it's not like a perfect fix for Capitao, but it certainly does put him in a better position to deal with. The trickiest part is, like, say for example, a classic Capitao spot like the catwalk on Garage in Clubhouse, where you have to deal with a firebolt going over. The question is, where do you put the disc, right? Because exactly. You need the disc far enough away from you that it's going to put the fire away from your body, but close enough that it's going to catch the arrow, right? So do you just put it on the rafters like a little farther from you down the way? Do you put it in some other spot near the door, for example? So when they go to shoot it through the doorway, they end up getting captured on the door and then burn their own door. Things like that. It becomes very tricky in how you think about it. And that's what I mean, that the skill level and the experience of Wamai players reminds me a little bit of like Valkyrie Black Eyes, right? Where there's like a skill to knowing how to place those and having to change up how you use them over time because people figure it out. But with Thatcher banned so often in Latin America, I feel like Wamai is in a stronger place because he's going to have those tucked and hard to reach spots, and it's going to be difficult to clear them out without having to expend extra utility on top of Jaeger's ADSs, because you can't just use an EMP on like a ceiling or something like that to be able to, or a wall, to try and clear those through the wall.
Well, again, no admin decision yet on this, as we're still waiting MIBR, and well, really it's SNG that need to get their final player in. Maybe we can get a coach in the meantime.
Yeah, funny thing is, if we hadn't had the initial delay or any delays in this match, I think we'd probably be done with this match by now.
We would probably on for the next one, to be honest. So yeah, Singularity, I mean, unfortunately their time is kind of drawing near the end. We waited for MIBR in the beginning. We might have to wait the same way for Singularity. I don't even remember the scoreline at this point, so you can tell it's been a while since we actually had something happening in front of us. I mean, maybe you can cast over another game. Do you want to recast the NA games?
Right, yeah. Definitely would be funny. I think we're getting some info on what's going on here. Just one second.
Yeah, we're trying to hear production here.
Yeah. I think it might be going to MIBR, or maybe that was just the scoreline, because it is 3-2 in favor of MIBR, and I think that's just the information we were given, which, yeah, I have written down. So MIBR had a one-round advantage, which can turn into a full match advantage.
We don't know why this is happening. It can be with game, it can be with computers. Like, there's a billion things that can go wrong with it. So,
could be they just didn't pray hard enough. You never know.
Maybe they played so hard that it crashed it, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he is a new member to the team, so, this is part of his hazing. It did surprise me, though, that he would go. First off, I mean, I got to wonder if Rise was leaving himself rather than being kicked, because he was a great player on the team, so I wouldn't expect Team 1 to have kicked Rise just to bring Skadinian back. So I got to imagine that Rise was like, oh, I need to get Rise above Team 1's last place position here. I'll go to a team that technically should be worse but is doing better. So and they're going toe to toe right now with MIBR for the most part. So I gotta say it's been working out for Singularity. Just waiting on more info here. Yeah. I think we might have a stand-in coming in, so I guess they are possibly allowing here a last-minute substitute just to make sure we can get a game going, so that we don't have to have a forfeit.
Yeah, I mean, who is it? Their coach might be stepping in right now.
I see Rise in the lobby now, so
okay.
It could, unless that's someone else on Rise's account. Nope, they managed to fix it. Okay,
it's fixed. Okay.
It's always the last minute. I noticed. It's always when we're about to give up, right? That's when it suddenly works.
I don't get it, man. I do not
get
it, how it works. But hey, at least we're in the game. That's what matters in the end.
Yeah, we're just giving it a second to make sure it's all good.
Okay, it's correct. It's round 6, 3-2. MIBR on defense. Good God, it's working fine. Whew.
We haven't cut to the game for you guys yet, because we're just making sure everything's good. And there we go. Now it's working. And we're going to start on reading. We'll finish off, really, for the defense for MIBR and reading, which is what we said they probably should be doing.
All right, finally loaded in again. We have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. MIBR looking for a 4-2 on the defense. Now, let's be honest, 4-2 on a map like this, considering the operator bans, is what you're looking for if you're MIBR. Singularity, if they can get away with this 3-3 at the half, yeah, that's looking pretty good for them, actually, coming back into it. MIBR need every single point. Wins is what you need. Look at Space Station Gaming's history of playing in Pro League Online. Whenever you're tying, you might be able to recover here and there, but you're not going to be able to get to the top 2 easily like it.
Yep. Well, I got to imagine we have a strong possibility of going 3-3 in the half here, and then seeing who can come out on top on the other side. But we are going to have a Cali, which is different. We have yet to see. I think this is, as far as I know, the first actual one being played in Pro League, unless I missed one in NA. So that'll be an interesting way to deal with this. There's definitely plenty of windows to snipe through, and this is one way for them to potentially deal with the problems here. I don't recall, but I don't think you can snipe through castle barricades, right?
What? Say again?
With the Kali sniper rifle, I don't think it can go through castle barricades unless I missed that.
It destroys it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, like Glaz's rifle kind of then.
Yeah, it's just with one shot. Obviously, it's way more expense. I mean, no, Glass doesn't go through castle barricades.
Well, I mean, used to. I just mean
used
like
to, yeah.
Yeah.
This
used
is
to be able to destroy them as well.
Yeah, this is close to being the first Kali ever, and the big problem is that you have this big ass sniper rifle, or big sniper rifle. It's just it happens, but there's a nitro cell, and Lenda is gonna go down. A great nitro cell to be thrown up from MIBR, and they're gonna gain the advantage. And honestly, I don't know if Hunter is gonna be able to do much.
Well, he's certainly going to try and at least put a lot of pressure on to mining so they could take that to be able to push towards dining side potentially rather than having to take reading. But Bullet pushing back again with that AUG. Nice kill from him. He's been, again, his cost in some way or another has got to be very good for this match so far on that Wamai play.
So, Zofia checking inside of pillars. There's a drone ahead just to give information. And there's the camera that's been spotted and destroyed. Well done there, but how much will it help? There's 5 players all alive from MIBR, and they are at full HP. Kali's trying to walk on in and play inside a train, but you're not always going to be given a long angle. There might not be a reinforcement in the center, though, so this might be something.
Oh, missed shot!
And this is pretty much everybody's Kali's experience. Anyways, charge is going to go off. It's going to destroy any utility that was set behind the wall. The mute chamber. And Thermite Charge is going to open things up, but I don't know what that even will mean in the end of the day. KDS is going to find Bullet, slowing things a bit down, but there's Cyber, and he's watching and waiting up from heaven.
Definitely hoping for some opportunities here, but you did see the actual shots coming off from the Evil Eyes. There we go, nice kill from Cameraman as well. Looking pretty bad here for Singularity, just all down to KDS.
Yeah, just watching and waiting. There's the drop. Oh, wait, what? Hello? Zofia? Hello? Oh my, okay, there you go. There's just so many angles for Kitty has to watch. Finally taken out. MIBR 4-2 at the half. Good scoreline at the split.
Yeah, definitely looking good for them. You could see a lot of the momentum was lost there from Singularity, but also that was a site they had yet to attack. They tried something a little bit different, bringing the Kali. Did not work, although to be fair, that was one of the players that did live a bit longer. But it just seemed like the players on MIBR were kind of given free reign of the map. A lot of play was kind of from one direction in terms of the map control they were able to get for MIBR. You had sniping kind of coming from outside for a while. It allowed MIBR to kind of run around freely, and that really didn't work out. We're actually going to see Cameraman going to try the sniping as well on reading. So I don't know if this is a reading specific strategy or just coincidence. We are going to see the Wamai being played as well, though. And unfortunately, that doesn't catch the sniper rifle bullets. So you are going to have to deal with those. But we are seeing a Capital on top of that, because Capital, surprisingly, was not banned this time. So see if that works out for them. But they are going to have to worry about getting caught by his discs. And that's where you probably wish you had an IQ to spot whether or not those discs are going to be a problem before you fire those bolts.
Yeah, and right now the biggest deal has been trying to find where those discs are, because usually they're somewhere tucked around inside of Christmas. You just can almost never find them, right? That's why you might need the IQ. And I still am unsure about that Kali pick. I think the only reason they're bringing Kali here, MIBR and Cameraman, is because, well, there's no Thatcher in play, and that's the alternative. But I'm very much not sold on sniper rifle.
We'll definitely hear it opening up some windows at the very least. Shots coming. It has a very distinct sound, and that tracer also makes it very clear what's happening. You do tend to give your position away. He's at least going to be bringing a Claymore. That's going to help with possible runouts. Well, he's probably going to be on a rappel at first. Nice drone throw there. I imagine that was intentional to try and catch it on the lip so he can get it inside. So you appreciate the perfection in those drone throws. Trying to be safe. That is going to also help him possibly spot a pest before having to go through the window. So, with the amount of pests that have been placed on windows, that actually seems like a good way to potentially compensate for that. Depending on the angle, you might be able to get around pests, or at least identify them first, rather than risk throwing them straight through. Nice angle.
There's the angle. Oh, I love this.
It, though.
Back in the day, you used to have the maestros with an ACOG watching all down here from pillars into the hatch, and that was just such a powerful angle to use. You could put a Doc or Rook here if you want as well. But yeah, Bullet is going to waste no time and drop into red. It's going to require his teammates, though, to open things up for him to be able to rotate easily into Christmas. And their cigar being checked, default cam destroyed. A bit of information given here to Novi's, but the spray does not connect with anyone from Singularity on the other side. MIBR's, you have to be careful. Walking down staircases and just finding people, face checking them like you saw the Sledge trying to do there is just not a valid strategy.
Oh, there we go. The Tracer getting away his position. He actually doesn't get pushed. That's the nice thing, is it's such a scary, intimidating thing. You really don't want to try and counter it without possibly runouts, and that's why I think things like the Claymores that he has are definitely necessary utility to stay alive here. The fact that they've been able to get this far, though, is pretty good, but the fact that they've also lost 2 minutes getting here is looking decent for Singularity because they have yet to take any damage. But they've got to fight back against the control of Cigar.
So, beautiful music playing here, but it's all allowing Singularity to get into a better spot. Oh my god, how is this even happening? Rise is trying to run on down, and Cyber will only take a bit of damage. Shotgun's gonna be forced back here with the grenade, and there's 2 kills for Singularity. Unfortunately, cameraman taking a lot of damage in this case. I'm not sure if he's just gonna be switching over to CZ. No, he's just gonna stick with his rifle. And 1 kill will go the way of MIBR, but KDS will find 1 on Cyber. You have to go and get the plant down. M-King 1 on KDS. It's a 3v2. Still a big advantage for Singularity. No time basically left as a Nitro Cell will be flung right into M-King. And that will be the end of the round. Unfortunate. Rise knew exactly where it was coming, throwing it right into default.
Well, I don't think overall the Cali play has worked out. It definitely didn't seem very effective. I don't think we saw a single kill from him. The Thermite was doing more work with his gun. So, I mean, the intimidation factor is definitely a thing, but I don't think it was very effective overall. I mean, it might have been used utility-wise to clear some to be able to get a wall open that I missed, but overall, I don't think it was worth it. So that might be the end of it that we see for a while. We'll see a kitchen defense, though, coming out next. They're not going to go to bar just yet, despite how effective MIBR was at defending bar. We're going to see probably a 6th from cameraman here. Nope, maybe not. Well, we'll see how it works on kitchen. Got to keep in mind that was the first round, though, and that might have been the site, or not the site that they were expecting for that play. So there's always that factor. The only time you know what site is going to be played generally is if 2 defenses have been won in a row. Then you generally know where the third one's at, or if it kind of continues in the little circular cycle that we like to see. Kitchen, though, pretty good defensive site. As long as you can kind of control above you or stay out of positions where you don't get shot from above or easily naded from above. With the addition of Wamai, it's easier to avoid being naded from above, but they didn't bring him this time. So you got to worry about, especially about those Goyo shields. If there are positions where they can be naded from above, they're going to be able to be cleared out that way, very likely. They're actually opening up some of the floor themselves. Rise there, opening it up with the shotgun to be able to try and fight anyone in mining early. Interesting choice there, but also gives the ability, if KDS can hold inside train, which is unlikely to be able to hold the whole round, he can also use them to his advantage. They are, again, bring the cap down.
What I really don't like about this is that MIBR don't have a ton of utility to really clear that top floor, and it's almost as much as how much I hate R6 copy pasta, because I always find it a bit disappointing. But we'll see who can get the pasta down here in kitchen for this assault. There's a lot of utility for MIBR to use on site, but again, not much on the top floor. And the more time you waste on just walking around the bakery, the more time Singularity will have to just open up more holes to fight you and destroy you once you get into that default plant area.
Well, at least we hear the clear of the wall being used, the sniper rifle. Here now being used on the main wall. You saw it just there pop, and now they're going to be able to get the wall open. Lenda, though, is in a good flanking position. He's just waiting for the right opportunity when they're focused on the holes. Because this is the thing, once they open those holes, they got to focus on them. But no, Cyber is on top of it, absolutely getting the grenade and going for the second one here. Might be able to finish off the Goyo, but no, Goyo backs off. Nice job by Cyber, though. Absolutely great job covering his flank so his teammates could focus on the attack on kitchen.
This is a time to come on in, though. Novi's taking a lot of damage, and the Capital will be forced to use his utility. M-King is going to be dropped, and there's the double tag. Nitro Cell from Rise will come out, and will sail into M-King. A pre-fire from Cyber will find a headshot, though, into Souls, all the way inside of Freezer. And that evil eye from the Maestro is giving the info. Hunter with a finisher onto Cyber. In the meantime, Cameraman, that's
there we go.
Beautiful shot here. Using the CSR Rex 300. He's looking for another shot around the corner. Might be more utility. There's a Nitro Cell ripped open to get used, and one more will be used right in the face of the Capitao. Hunter collecting one more. There were 3 Nitros to be used, and at least they secured 2 kills in the round. Cameraman, this is old school days of a 1v2 with a sniper rifle. Won't connect. There's another one calling here in the room, and that's a TCSG 12. Round number 8 going the way of Singularity. Her fighting back so strong.
If you're Singularity, you're definitely glad your player could get back now because you've been able to win 2 of the 3 rounds since coming back. So that's a pretty good start there, and even 1 kill with the sniper rifle finally for Cameraman. Probably going to stop playing it for now, though. Maybe it was for Kitchen, I imagine, because that is one where you can really take advantage of being able to help open up the walls from the outside. So I have to imagine that's what they were planning for, was for it to be a Kitchen defense, and it just happened to be reading instead the first round. But you never know. Like, that's a little bit of attempted mind reading. I do like that they're taking advantage of the Capitao. Nope, I guess I was wrong. They want to play at every site. But they are taking advantage of that Capitao. Navi's really should have been able to shoot that C4 out of the air. And I don't say that because, like, it's easy to do, but because he was so close to doing it. Had he been able to do so, of course, that would have saved his life, and round might have turned out a little bit different. But overall, that's the problem with attacking Kitchen, is once you open the wall, it becomes kind of a little jack-in-the-box of C4s and shots coming out, because your positioning outside of that hole is going to be somewhat predictable. You're in a single contained room, whereas there's so many crouch spots and hiding places inside the kitchen. It can be a little bit of whack-a-mole just trying to get the defenders to stay down or get kills on them, and they're going to have a lot of utility to throw out at you from behind those counters. So something to deal with for sure. We'll see how it goes this time on bar, though, for the first bar defense for Singularity. They are going.
You asked me. Well. You asked me the biggest problem about that attack in the last round is that nobody took control of the top floor, and I get the fact that you're bringing the Kali to help you open up the wall, but unless you're using Kali to open the wall in tandem with the thermite and then rushing in, it's not worth it if you ask me. It's way better to take top floor control. You can destroy any utility that's already been preset. You can force anything out. I just don't see the usefulness, specifically in the context that we had in the last round, and maybe even less on this site specifically. However, if you want to push in through Freezer, I can definitely see it.
On the upside, he did manage to get at least 1 kill with the rifle. So there is that.
Yeah. Always looking on the bright side of life, Devin, aren't you?
No. There we go again with the drone being placed on the windowsill. And 1 thrown in as well. There's no Mozzie.
Thank you for that analysis.
Singularity's not going very much with the Mozzie play, but nice Wamai disc pulling in one of those flashbangs. But hey, flashbangs pretty much in this game are almost just meant for burning to. Ooh, that is a risky play. But I don't know if Cameraman's going to see that bullet hole right there.
What an angle. I don't know if I've ever seen that really being put in play the same way. This is so sneaky. Bullet holes.
Potentially?
What can you do? You can't spot anything. It just doesn't work against the woman.
Well,
it's so good. There's the information. He can't find him. Lenda's gonna find one. There's no grenades being thrown into KDS. At least nothing that has really done much to him. Lenda's gonna take half HP damage as Novice is down. All the shots are missing, and all it takes is a fully automatic weapon in a game where it's way easier to do this sort of thing. Suddenly, 3 players are down from MIBR. Cyber and M-King are the last 2 alive, and you might have some utility, but you have to fling it around, and there's mute jammers everywhere. There's Goyo shields. There's castle barricades. I mean, you're running into a brick wall.
Well, this is definitely, this is one of the better sites to defend besides reading, and it's certainly being capitalized on here. Absolutely punishing all of their entries into the site. Just a bit of damage done to Lenda and KDS, and that's it so far. As opposed to members of MIBR, they've lost 3. An important utility loss along the way as well. M-King at least trying to bring it back with a kill on the Lenda, but that's not going to take a lot of utility off the board. That is bigger. And all the positioning here, if he missed that shot, that would have been a throw at that point. Really well done by Rise hiding in a position they were not prepared for. And Singularity in convincing fashion the last 2 rounds, just decimating anyone from MIBR who decided to enter the building.
So definitely impressive there from Singularity. It's just, look, I understand the Kali pick, but just no.
Well, it's failed 3 times in a row, so maybe don't go with that anymore.
Maybe don't go with that. I really am not a fan of bringing the operator. I don't think she really adds much to the lineup, and if you are going to add her to the lineup, you have to make it so you're rushing forward very quickly and capitalizing. It's just that sniper rifle kills with it look flashy, they look cool, but that's not what you're looking.
Well, hey Milos, you said multiple times now that with the way this last season's going, in terms of relegations and stuff, now's the time to experiment. And what better way than a live scrim?
I mean, fair enough. Honestly, maybe after last night's EG game, we get another scrim this evening.
Yeah, definitely looking pretty good for Singularity, though, I gotta say. Been very impressive on their defenses. Even more convincing than we saw from MIBR, just because Singularity have been losing far less people on these defenses and doing a great job fighting back against whatever MIBR are trying to push at them. But at the same time, it's maybe MIBR just over trying the Kali plays really is what's backfiring on them.
Honestly, again, you want to bring the Kali, it's way better to bring soft destruction, deal with mute jammers, bandit batteries, whatever, cloud tricks. Otherwise, if you want to use her, you have to capitalize real quick on a wall and have her holding the back. It's not like with a glass where you can have follow-up shots. You have to be very careful with the way you play.
Yeah, you definitely have to be accurate. I mean, this is a region that's known for its gunplay, so definitely should be doable, and there has been at least 1 kill, but overall it's just... The problem is with this game, you've got to worry about multiple people flanking you. You can't just tunnel vision at one player, and that's what you try and do with a sniper rifle. So it's not always the best. Nice C4 kill, though, on Navi's. He's really been having a hard time with C4s on that Capital. That's the second time he's died to one. They seem to kind of see him coming, despite the fact that he's only got 1 eye thanks to the eye patch. So he's not seeing those C4s.
It's so unfortunate, and yeah, it probably is the case. There you go. You're trying to peek around the corner with the Kali. Is he gonna find a shot? Actually, yes. Wow. Cameraman is gonna find a kill with the CSX. It works fine, but now how do you follow up with this? Because you lost the Capitao to the Goyo. It's an equal trade, if you ask me, especially if the Goyo is running Nitro Cell in that position, which I assume he is. Information's being given on the Valkyrie's positions and whereabouts, and Cameraman is able to sneak through. He's got a CZ-75 to use if he wants to, but losing the gunfight at the top floor, Lenda might be at 50% HP, but you're burning time, and they're trying to push into it, trying to isolate that Jaeger, but you're losing the Kali now, and the Jaeger turning around the corner is gonna be found and taken out.
Someday
taken out. There you go. Cyber is gonna be able to shoot him down, but it's a 3v2, and there's still reinforcements to deal with. This is a reading take, and you don't have control of the top floor. All your utility can be picked apart and destroyed, as is happening right now with these Wamai discs.
This is
more damage being done through the drone holes. Oh my god. 1 more grenade and it's gonna get caught. Who would have thought that Wamai is so good, especially when you're comboing with Mr. Jaeger himself. It's just not fun to play against, that's for sure. 20 seconds left and you're gonna have to run on in. Maybe utility can be used and be thrown into the faces there. Souls is gonna get taken down, but Rise with a refrag. Diffuser is in the center of the hallway, gets picked up, but then Rise peeks around the corner. We'll find 1 more. Singularity winning round number 10 and putting themselves on map and match point against MIB.
Seems like Rise made a good choice on his team to join. Been doing quite well. 4 rounds in a row on defense to put them on match point. That's a pretty good run for Singularity. Again, I think the way MIBR is approaching this is just clearly not working. But at the same time, really kudos to Singularity. They seem to have this defense figured out on this map. As I said before, this was a pretty good map for both teams, but it seems like Singularity, with the addition of the Wamai and the Goyo here, they're really making it happen for them. And MIBR aren't really able to do much to counter. They aren't able to find any easy early picks for the most part, other than the one kill cameraman gets here or there. Kitchen, again, didn't work out super great for them last time in terms of the attack from MIBR getting stopped pretty well inside the bakery itself. C4s and things throwing out there. And that's the thing is, you have to keep in mind that when it comes to defense in this game, right, you can get yourself in positions that are very hard to get you out of. What do you do to get people out of those positions? Throwables and crossbow bolts. Well, Wamai and Jaeger combined can do a good job stopping all of those. And because of that, it just becomes very difficult for them to really get these defenders to move into positions that are good lines of sight for them. And I think, as the example I gave with Kitchen earlier, the kind of whack-a-mole game, it really works against you here. They've got throwables on the defense, and there's no Jaeger on attack to catch those. There's no attacker with a catcher's mitt to catch the C4s that'll be throwing out the smokes, things like that. So it's a little favorable towards the defense in this particular setup.
So this kitchen defense, how do MIBR try to break it? They're bringing the Kali again, and I will try and refrain and not, smack talk, but I'm very curious as how you're going to make it happen. You still need that top floor control. Where's your buck? Where's your sledge? You have an Ash. Do you have any breach charges and other operators, or are you planning to just rush in? That's the question. KDS will take down one Cyber. In the meantime, getting one for his own, and Rise actually on the floor. The Doc eliminated for the Nomad, and I assume that the Nomad has been able to use a lot of the utility earlier on. Rise should get picked up as Hunter finds Cyber. There's the Ash down, at least putting things at equal footing when it comes to pure manpower. And yeah, that smoke is not going to get picked up anytime soon, is
Yeah, he's definitely kind of in a bait position at this point. I don't know if they know if he's down or not. Hard to tell because they don't have points, so they don't get automatically notified. And it's up to whether or not they perceive it or have callouts. He is going to finish the job, though. That's why he's got the CZ, just for finishing off his kills. But he's still in a tight spot. He's lost quite a few of his more aggressive teammates on better guns. So it's really down to him landing his shots. If he misses shots, he's been peaked now. They're not going to re-peak. That's the thing. Is all they have to do is now force him to watch that angle. But he's actually going to switch off. They're going to start to set up now for potential breach. They've got a minute 15 left. Not bad. Decent amount of time. They're going to get a position here, but the missed shot there, Hunter winning that out for second kill of the round. Yeah, this is not looking great here, especially now the cameraman's been felt. Hunter with a 3K. M-King could be his fourth.
Yep, it's going to be really tough to go against this. Again, why run a sniper rifle when a TCSG exists? And it's M-King. He's checking a billion angles. He doesn't know where to be looking towards right now. And Singularity are doing the right thing. They're not peeking. Nitrocell is going to be thrown away. And, well, it's just basically to scare M-King off. There's no way that you're preparing for the next round, as there will be none. Singularity so close to just taking this. And MIBR's new lineup is not having the best of days. I say new lineup, but it's really only cameraman on the squad. There's M-King walking inside of the prep room, taking a lot of damage, down to around 30 HP, pushed by 3 angles. He'll get one, but KDS will refrag, and there it is, all done and dusted. Singularity is surprising everybody. Out of nowhere, seems like they were very ready for this.
I mean, a flawless 5-round defense. That's pretty tricky to pull off there. Very impressive from them. I didn't expect that kind of comeback, but at the same time, again, just it seemed like MIBR were just trying to shove a square peg in a round hole there the whole time, just banging their head against the wall, and it not working, and them not adapting. I mean, to be honest, they kind of deserved the loss at that point. The fact that they didn't really adapt to what was happening from Singularity.